With a show facing cancellation and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Talking about Triple H being in charge of creative in WWE, Batista told Chris Van Vliet, "Things have changed a lot. I think Hunter has changed the company in a lot of great ways, but he's very open-minded to letting people do stuff outside of the company because he really understands that the bigger star they become, the more attention it'll bring back to WWE, which is a great thing." Mentioning that AEW conducted a venue survey ahead of their show next year in Australia, Ringside News wrote that AEW is set to make a splash in Australia with their Grand Slam 2025 event, scheduled for February 15th, 2025 at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Queensland. This decision required extensive planning as Tony Khan was committed to ensuring every detail was executed perfectly. When asked whether AEW considered other cities for Grand Slam in Australia, especially given Brisbane's less obvious appeal compared to Melbourne's larger population and more suitable stadiums, Sean Ross Sapp provided insight on his Fightful Select podcast. He confirmed that AEW did indeed send a team to conduct site surveys across various locations in Australia before making their decision. It was also emphasized that this choice was not made hastily, rather it was part of a well thought out plan that had been in the works for some time. This is obviously a decision that took some time to put together considering its great scale. Yes, AEW sent a team to do site surveys for some of the places in Australia before deciding. This wasn't a move they took lightly, but one they were planning a while. Praising the women's division of AEW, Orange Cassidy told Wrestling with Brandon F. Walker, "I also think AEW right now probably has the best women's division ever assembled. I feel very strongly about that," Cassidy said. He highlighted the return of Jamie Hayter, adding, "We all know how great Jamie Hayter is." Following his appearance on NXT, NBA star Tyrese Haliburton shared a moment backstage with Shawn Michaels.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Tremendous. Hell of a job. Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it. I hope you had fun.
Yes, sir.
It was awesome. Great job.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Super appreciate it. Good luck.
Going over an apparent change to a backstage rule on promos in WWE, Ringside News noted that, according to PW Insider, there was a notable change backstage at Raw this week, as the writers for the promo segments were internally listed on the show's run sheets. This is not typically the case, especially for non-physical segments. Alexandra Williams, a senior writer with WWE for 4 years, was credited for CM Punk's promo. Brian Paris, a long-standing member of the creative team, was responsible for Jey Uso's promo, while Christian Scoville, a writer and producer with the company for 5 years, was listed for Sami Zayn's promo. When asked about this shift, a source described it as a natural evolution in the way WWE manages its creative process. Taking to Instagram, Arianna Grace questioned members of the NXT women's locker room regarding her broken crown.
I found this piece of my crown broken in my locker. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this and find out who broke my crown. Does this mean anything to you?
Baby, this is plastic.
Pero, is this a piece of your crown? Oh, no. I mean, I don't know, but if I could guess, JC.
JC, Lola said you broke this.
No, I didn't, but I wish I did. Go away. Ooh, this would make some pretty drip, though. No, sorry. Will you go away?
Doll, do you know what happened to my crown?
Your crown? I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen this before.
Oh, okay.
It looks like an heirloom. Is it from your grandma? That's so sweet.
I have better things to do and better things to focus on, not your little crown.
No idea, sorry. Do you know who broke my crown?
No. Oh, I don't know who broke. Okay. Arianna, I just got off the phone with my source. It was mini stacks.
Talking about the upcoming match where he and Will Ospreay will take on the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team title, Kyle Fletcher told the Outer Haven, "I've been watching them since I started training. I've watched them through their Bullet Club phase to the move to AEW and everything. Yeah, I definitely respect what they've done and what they've accomplished. I consider Will Ospreay to be my brother. I know him like the back of my hand. He knows me like the back of his hand. I think we have a pretty good chance to take those belts off of them." At a wedding, a WWE fan would have the theme song of Roman Reigns played along with a championship belt and pyro. Recalling his romance angle in WWE with Mandy Rose, Otis said this to Chris Van Vliet: "She was definitely the ignition for sure, because you can pitch it all day long, but again, like with Mandy, she's like, I'll talk to Vince McMahon, like, okay, because I was just kidding around. I would see a bikini post on her Instagram and I would be like, you look good, babe," and then it became this thing, and last year on Google, it said, "Is Otis married to Mandy Rose?" It was just one post, and I'm sitting there going, oh, I can get some more leverage here. So I kept posting it just for laughs, and she's awesome. The girls, they're a blessing too, because again, they're like, it's HR, but we know you mean well. So yeah, but she talked to Vince McMahon, came out, and then we started rocking and rolling there. So I mean, but she definitely was like, hey, we gotta do this. Otis also brought up the involvement of Dolph Ziggler in the angle, saying, it's one of those things where I'm gonna kiss the world champion bikini model. Behave yourself. Every day was a test. We could never do a pre-shot. It was always live because somebody would mess up, and she's just like, just got to be ready. I'm sweating terribly because I got to get a hold of a cake, and the box was so uncertain that I was like, this thing falls during a live shot, I don't know what to do, but I don't know. It was just like you couldn't find a grip on it, and of course, Dolph Ziggler, you know, topped the cake, man. I love Ziggy, man. It's pretty crazy Ziggy gets in the picture, and like, it was his first singles match in the warehouse, as WrestleMania was my first singles too. So it was like, it was bittersweet because I respected Dolph a lot, and it's like, damn, I wish it was better. Just that time, but you know, times being the times. During that same interview, Otis revealed the origin of one of his signature moves, the worm, saying, I remember it was called the sock hop at Cooper Elementary School. My mom goes, we need to get your ass out of the house. You're watching too many horror movies. You're watching too much damn wrestling. Get out of the house. I'm going to take you to the sock hop. At a sock hop, parents are forced to dance, and we get in there, and of course, you know, it's typical. I'm not going to dance with a girl. It's kind of like 5th grade, and you know, alright. So I walk up to the DJ and said, excuse me, sir, do you have Batter Up by Nelly? He's like, yeah, but I wasn't planning on playing that. He said he'd play it next. I walked away. The next thing I know, I'm just waiting for the song to play. About 10 more polka songs came on. Finally, Batter Up goes on, and you know, all the dudes finally get down to their chicks. I just dropped down and did it. Boom. Got that first reaction. Speaking about possibly taking on the role of an agent for WWE, JBL told Huge Pop, I don't think so. I've told Sami Zayn this, so it's not a secret. I was Sami Zayn's agent one time, and after that, I quit. I love Sami. He's one of the best characters I've ever seen. I love Sammy. I was a guy who said, how long you need? 12 minutes. Okay, what's the finish? That's all I needed. Randy Savage was just like Sammy. I remember I called a match at WrestleMania where there was no crowd and Sammy was in there with Daniel Bryan. Without the crowd, it sucked and was tough. Sammy was screaming at one point. Every time Daniel kicked him, I thought, this is brilliant. It made the match. He was crying at one point. What a great heel. I love Sammy, but I don't want to be his agent. That was my retirement ceremony. As the upcoming Netflix docuseries on the allegations against Vince McMahon was brought up, Mick Foley said this regarding it at Comic-Con Northern Ireland. I genuinely liked him, Vince McMahon. I mean, my relationship was never the same with him after I left WWE and went to TNA for 3 years. But to this day, I'm still trying to find an address to write to him, just to thank him, for taking a chance on me. I think all of us are a combination of good traits and bad traits, and you hope your good traits outweigh your bad traits, and it seems perhaps that Vince got it backwards there for a little while, but I've been there when he's done good things. I've seen him do good things. When I was writing books, I wanted to essentially do something like a chicken soup for the wrestling fan souls about some of these real heartwarming moments, and he was like, Mick, I'm afraid that would come across as self-serving. So he was someone that did the right thing for the right reasons a lot of the time. I feel really bad that someone I care about got into something that seems pretty unsavory. I'm gonna hold off judgment until I see but I think one thing that's fortunate is whatever he did or did not do, I don't think many of us are allowing that to mess with our memories. He was instrumental in creating some of those memories, so I'm choosing to appreciate him until I learn more about what may have gone down. Asked about potentially having a run on NXT, one half of the women's tag team champions, Jade Cargill, told WrestleZone, I wouldn't mind it, just to get the reps and the experience at all. I know that's one of the things that I mentioned in the very beginning before I even started, was going back and forth fluctuating. Right now, working with the EST, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but if it happens, I welcome it. We are all here to work and we are all here to get reps. Touching on WWE's reaction to play-by-play commentator Joe Tessitore's performance on Raw, Ringside News wrote that, according to PW Insider, there was significant internal praise for Joe Tessitore's commentary on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, which isn't a surprise for many fans. Another name would also have praise for Joe Tessitore, as WWE's Peter Rosenberg said this about his debut on Awful Announcing. I thought Tess did great. It's the best debut we've had in a long time, respectfully to the amazing Kevin Egan Patrick, who is such an amazing sportscaster and doing such a great job broadcasting for Apple and MLS. He did a great job. Jimmy Smith did a good job. Other people have been there and have done well. Tess, he's built for this. His style, he has a pro wrestling style. It's built into him. It was built into him when he did boxing or when he did football. You can hear it right now when he does college football. He has a big voice. Everything is big. He knows the product. He loves it. He knows how to run traffic, which is a really hard thing. It's a lot to deal with when you're on live TV like that. I'm as confident in the success of Joe Tessitore as I have been about anyone who's come along. He's going to be good. Talking about the possibility of running an AEW show at the Sphere in Las Vegas, Nevada, the promotion's director of business development, Jeff Jarrett, noted on his My World podcast, I heard the number was 20 million. Wembley Stadium next week, Arthur Ashe, built for tennis, wrestling next Wednesday, but it ain't cheap. When I put on my promoter cap and really look at the return on investment, I would say it's just impossible. To run a show in the Sphere, I don't see it happening within the next 12 months. I just don't. A lot of revenue has to be generated for that to make sense. Mentioning the secret to his success in the pro wrestling business, Paul Heyman told Jazzy's World TV, "I think I'm successful because I never really wanted a real job in my life. I've successfully avoided having a real job for the entire width of my existence. It was probably from my mother saying, 'You're a schmuck, nobody is going to like you. Do what you want to do with your life anyway.'" With rumors coming out that AEW stars the Lucha Brothers are difficult to work with, lazy, and more, they are seemingly on their way out of the promotion. Talking about these rumors, Conan noted on Keeping It 100, "What's funny about this? Gee, why didn't this come out before? Number one. Number two, why didn't we hear about this in the past? Because if you're a bad seed, you're a bad seed everywhere. They worked in Impact and we never heard that. They worked in MLW and we never heard that. They worked in AAA and we never heard that. So how are they hard to work with? They're constantly doing jobs." I think this is what the company is saying to make them look bad on their way out to their fans. Like maybe we really didn't want them, instead of acknowledging they got kicked to the curb. When you look at them wrestle, they always try to steal the show. They are super over. Phoenix is always injured for doing risky things to try to make everybody happy. If they would have done more with them, they'd still be there, and learning to take losses is part of the business. When I couldn't use Pentagon and Phoenix because they were going to work Arena Mexico, you didn't hear me badmouth them or the company. When it comes to former New Japan Pro Wrestling star Hikuleo being introduced on WWE programming in the future, as he will probably be involved in the Bloodline story, Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. They also may introduce Hikuleo by then. He's under contract and everything, and they are waiting for the time to add him. I don't even know what side he would be on, but I'm going to guess he would be with his brothers. He's been under contract for a long time, and you figure at one point they want to bring him in as this big monster. Discussing the benefits that TNA Wrestling has seen with the partnership with WWE, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Live, "The WWE stuff with TNA has definitely helped them on pay-per-views. Their pay-per-view number was way up on the last pay-per-view. Their live attendance at the last couple of shows, they used to get 500 to 800 on these pay-per-views. Now they're selling out at 2,000. Going over a re-signing to WWE, Ringside News wrote that Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that sources have confirmed that Sheamus' contract was extended due to injury time, and he is now committed to a long-term deal with WWE. Sheamus has officially signed a new multi-year contract with WWE, securing his place in the company for the foreseeable future. After reports in September of 2023 indicated that the Celtic Warrior had suffered a shoulder injury, his future in WWE was uncertain, as his contract was set to expire earlier in the year. Staying on the topic of WWE attempting to retain certain talent, Ringside News added that, according to a recent report from PW Insider, WWE has aggressively pursued new deals for key superstars, even for those whose current contracts still have time left before expiration. This strategy is part of WWE's efforts to retain top talent in the increasingly competitive world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. Among those approached in recent weeks are WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax, WWE World Women's Champion Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. Each of these women has played a pivotal role in WWE's programming and fan engagement, making them prime candidates for contract extensions. Mentioning an AEW program that could be discontinued, this was said in the Wrestling Observer. One source indicated this past week that AEW Rampage would not be continued and that AEW's new third show, likely called Shockwave, would be the show being shopped around to Fox and possibly others. John Oran noted that AEW is primarily pitching another package to broadcast channels, which would include networks such as ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, Telemundo, Univision, CW, or ION. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.